Welcome to the Slade ham experiment. Yeah, you get in here, hurry, quick, before the door shuts. We're taking off. I'm your pilot, your captain. You're in my midnight spaceship. We have an episode in front of us. What will we talk about? I do not know. I kind of have a clue. We'll talk about rejection. Lots of that this week. We'll talk about a dilemma that has confronted a great many people. We will talk about a TV show I have been watching. I will also tell you about a contest we're going to do. Welcome to all of you who have found me through my comedy special. It's doing well. We crossed the 30,000 person mark this weekend. I don't know where we are now, but more than that, certainly. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the emails. I appreciate all of you who have found me to say such kind things. It's flattering, and they make my soul smile. So I'm hosting a contest that you guys can get into before everyone else. Like, don't tell anybody. It's super secret. And I'll brief you on that right at the end of the episode. So stick around and let's make an episode, shall we? In 1991, I was probably 14 years old, and I was watching a TV show called Star Trek: The Next Generation. And in season 5, episode 6, it's called The Game, is the name of the episode. And I remember the episode recently, and I referenced it when I was talking to somebody because it felt like our current state of affairs. Now, the episode is remarkable for a number of reasons. One, it's stuck in my childlike head because one of the characters, Ensign Robin Leffler, who was, a little piece of trivia, played by Ashley Judd. Now, nobody knew who Ashley Judd was back then. I just remember her being like jaw-droppingly, oh my God, wow, I'm madly in love with this Star Trek character. Now, she was an ensign on the Enterprise, and Wesley Crusher, the son of the Doctor, played by Will Wheaton, who I really can't stand. But nevertheless, this episode centers around him. He comes in, he's dating Ensign Leffler. Maybe that's why I don't like him. She came up with a series of rules. She would always quote them throughout the episode. Rule number so-and-so, don't trust anybody. Rule number so-and-so, you can only count on yourself. She was very, very self-driven and independent. I think I saw a lot in that character. I dug her. I remember making my own list of rules. Maybe we'll discuss those on a different episode because she might have listed 5 or 6 during the episode, and I took those numbers and filled in my own gaps because I was an idiot kid with a notebook and thought I knew stuff. Be interesting to see if any of those things still applied. What 15-year-old me thought the rules to the world were. God, that's scary. Here's the episode. Here's why it's in my head. In the episode, William Riker. You know what? I'll tell you who these people are. This is the Wikipedia breakdown of the episode. Will Riker, first officer, playboy. He's a ladies' man. He doesn't settle down very often. It's his ex-girlfriend's the counselor. He's just all over all these space women. He's on the planet Risa. Risa is a sex planet. That's where people go to just, it's the what's the beach in Florida? I don't know. Wherever people go for spring break. It's Risa. It's grown up spring break. That's basically Risa. You go there, you relax. There's probably hookers everywhere. There's drinks. Every time you see someone, they're in a romantic situation on Risa. So Will Riker visits the planet. He's introduced to a video game by Atana Joel. She's a Qatarian woman with whom he has become romantically involved. Go, Will. Of course you did. You're going to find some space woman on some planet. So during his vacation, the episode starts with them playing this game. She puts it on his head. It's a little augmented reality headset. These little cones come out. You use your brain to make a disc float over into the cone. Your eyes kind of roll back in your head orgasmically. And that's what Will finds. The woman gives him the game. He takes the game back to the Enterprise. It activates pleasure centers in your brain when you complete certain tasks, he finds out. Wesley Crusher He's on vacation from Starfleet Academy. He's visiting the Enterprise. He notices everyone's playing the game. His mother, Dr. Crusher, secretly switches off Lieutenant Commander Data. Data is the android, played by Brent Spiner. He's just a machine, but he's always longing to be human. He's very Pinocchio. That's Data. Dr. Crusher, Wesley's mom, flips off his little switch. He's got a switch on the back of his leg. Sabotages his circuits because he would be immune to the game's addictive properties. The game addicts people who play it by stimulating the pleasure centers of their brains when they complete each level. Starting to sound familiar? Wesley reports to Captain Jean-Luc Picard, that's Sir Patrick Stewart, to us civilians. Goes to report his suspicions that the game is dangerous. However, Picard is already addicted. This is a good episode. So Wesley and Robin start repairing Commander Data. Then they get captured, and they put the headsets on them, and bloop, they go down. It's Data who frees the rest of the crew from their mind-controlled state with this wonderful technology. He basically takes a flashlight and goes, tsh, tsh, flashes a few lights in everybody's eyes. Everybody's okay. It's just a palm beacon. It didn't take a whole lot. The crew discerns the purpose of the game. By satisfying the pleasure regions of the brain, the game has rendered them extremely susceptible to the powers of suggestion, compelling them to aid the game's creators, ooh look, the Qatarians, in an attempt to take control of the Enterprise and eventually the Federation. And that, my friends, is how I feel about TikTok. Without making the Chinese reference. I've seen so many people utilizing that, not TikTok, just all of this stuff I bitch about every week. The addiction problem, when you look at, and this is my challenge to you, because these things, these platforms, these apps, they're all the same thing and they're necessary and it's how we communicate. But it is important that we take stock of how frequently and how often we do this. That it is not an automatic, oh my God, what am I doing? How do I even open this phone? Try writing down just for one day where you open your phone, how often you open it, what you look at and why. Because those pleasure sensors are just waiting to be tapped and touched into so that the Qatarians of the real world can take over your brain. I wrote a piece this week about measuring sticks as artists and how we know if we're on the right track and how difficult that can be and how tough it is to deal with sometimes. And that is the truth. It is tough to deal with sometimes, specifically the rejection that comes with a lot of this. And some days I have to deal with it too. Most days I have to, that's a lie. Every day I have to deal with it right alongside everyone else. Now, sometimes I find myself wanting to spring into action and do something as a reaction to something negative that has happened. And it comes from a place of upsetness, depression, sadness, those momentary things. We all feel it. It's very important when you feel this way not to act. I've found you have to change the mindset that you're in to solve real problems. I can't solve any of my problems when I'm in that, I keep wanting to say depressed. It's not depressed, but this depressive state when I'm in the trough of the wave. That's not the time to solve things. I can't think about things clearly when I'm in that mindset. What's important is that I go change the mind state. I go for a bike ride. I go for lots of walks. I go get sunlight. I pop in some music. I do something to get myself in a different state of mind, and then I can approach things. Change your state. Think again. Now, there's no real measuring stick to whether or not any of us who are artists are on the right path. We can only try. You can listen to people, you can take advice, you can look at people who have been successful, see where they've been, try to follow that path. But as we all start at the base of the mountain with our friends and our family and our acquaintances and all of that stuff, and we start to work our way out into the wild, some of us venture off down our own little paths. All right, you guys go that way, man. I heard from somebody that if I went this way, there's the best view in the entire park, and I want to feel that. I want to see that. I want to go this way. But there's no markers. This is you poking your way through a hole in the shrubs trying to make your way up, and all your friends are having picnics in the meadow and hanging out with each other and sitting by the river and swinging in hammocks and taking naps. And you're like, no, I'm gonna go this way. Maybe I should go down and have pancakes with them by the river. That's our lot. That's what we have to own if we're gonna do this. So when you're faced with that much difficulty, that much unknown, that much decision, that much indecision, that much confusion, that this path that's supposed to be so magnificent, when you're walking that path, man, it is important that you don't add more weight to your pack. You have to find ways to remove your expectation. That's stoic at its core. That is exactly what it, because if you ruminate on what's expected, right? Your expectations. I did this for so-and-so. This should be coming back to me. I put so much into that. This should be coming back to me, right? Those are real. You start thinking to yourself about that stuff. Man, I took that dude to Europe. He won't even share my special. Like, that dude was about to quit comedy when I talked him out of it, and he won't even text me back. Like, those sorts of things stick with you. I got that dude his first road gig and nothing. He won't even acknowledge if your expectations are there, you're going to be let down. It's so much easier to let those good things happen and then act pleasantly surprised. Oh my God, how cool. That dude shared this thing I made. That's remarkable. I had so many people. I could talk about it because I've processed. These aren't bitter things. These are just acknowledged things that are recent from the last few weeks. I had a friend tell me they'd be happy to share it. Absolutely, man. And then I think a day later, the message came back and it was just all caps. Oh my God, you unfollowed me? ? Exclamation, just interrobang. Oh my God. And then no share. And I giggled a little bit because I don't think I unfollowed them. I truthfully don't think I ever followed them to begin with because I don't follow anybody. If you go to my socials, I follow like 12 people on everything. But it was interesting that the whole relationship was predicated on this weird social interaction that none of us even knew existed a week prior. This one from an agent. Sorry, Slade, but blank. The agency is filled up with veteran comics who have been with me 20 years or longer. I can only add from the new generation now in order to keep a balance. I got that about a week and a half ago. You want this one? This is from a club, pretty decent club. Thanks for reaching out. I don't have any headline work for you right now. I do see you can do the job quite well, however. I need headliners with more TV credits for me to promote and a good social media presence, though. Unfortunately, gone are the days where our audience came out to see whoever is at the club because they know every show is funny. I'll keep you in mind down the road if this changes. This is why. You got to remember that this is age-old wisdom. If you go all the way back to the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius says, choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been. That's powerful mojo right there. It's all up here. Everything is a story we tell ourselves. I can tell myself that story about my friend, right? He doesn't really care for me. He doesn't really whatever because he didn't share. But the truth is, that's all insecurity on that end, right? That's none of that's me. That's the stuff you got to remember. What story are you telling yourself about this? You want something closer to home? How about Shakespeare? We all respect that dude, right? Troilus and Cressida. Act 2, Scene 3. Expectation is the root of all heartache. Look at you, you brilliant bard. So this, my friends, is why, if you're my friend, if you're my family, if you're inside my inner circle, my expectation of you must be 0. It has to be. People are upset. Why didn't you reach out, man? If you just told me, I would have helped out. I just would have. Be happy you're in that other box. It's hard enough. It's hard enough on a regular day. You know what I mean? I gotta worry about you. If I ask you, I gotta worry about you forgetting or getting busy or prioritizing things wrong. And then you gotta apologize, and then our friendship's awkward. It's just easier for me to say and expect nothing and love you for who you are and be in your circle and embrace you and celebrate your wins and victories and take what you offer my direction happily and graciously and without complaint, which this is not. This is a big smile saying I love you all. A man or a bear? Which would you pick? That's the dilemma everyone seems to be wrestling with this week. I didn't know what it was. I'm not in that cultural pipeline. I don't get the morning news. So when someone asked me, they didn't ask me. They referenced it. They said it's kind of like that man or bear thing. Man versus bear, however they described it. And I thought they were talking about like, do you think you could beat up a bear? Like a which animal could you beat up conversation? I thought that's what it was. I was totally wrong. Turns out the insane proposition, I'm going to call it that. It's proposed, if you don't know what it is, it's proposed by a woman, I think, on Twitter. It's then since been rephrased, and various versions of it have floated around. But the basic premise is this: if you are a woman and you are in the woods, which would you rather come across if you are alone? A bear or a man you don't know? It's an interesting proposition. One, it begs so many questions right up front. One, what are you doing in the woods? Why are you by yourself? You have the total right to do it, but it's unsafe. I don't even like walking in the woods by myself. Plus, bear-infested woods, that's kind of on you. Lady, you should get a stick with a bell or something. Two, if you're in bear-infested woods and you do come across a man, it shouldn't matter if he's a man. It's another human and there's bears everywhere. Three, this is such a fallacy. You're assuming this because it's a false dilemma, right? You're assuming that the attack ratio of men and bears is the same. Someone will make the case that the attack ratio is probably higher on the part of men, but you're creating a situation here where you're in close proximity to the bear. We have to address the dilemma as it is. You didn't say you're walking alone in the woods and you see a bear or a man across the river. You run into him. Rah! I'm assuming they're startled. That's a different reaction. What if you... The false dilemma nature of it is sort of the same one politicians use. Are you for us? Are you against us? Well, maybe it's not one or the other. Maybe I believe some of the same stuff you do, but I also don't believe in your reactionary radicalism. So maybe I'm neither for nor against you. Maybe the bear person argument doesn't. They're not all gonna attack. It's not the same argument. It does matter what kind of bear. Is it a koala? Is it an axe murderer? Who are you dealing with? Well, if you have to ask what kind of you're picking a fight. You want to demonstrate the unsafe nature of men towards women. I understand that conversation, but that isn't the conversation we're having when you drag stupid bears into it. If you ask me whether I would be if I'm in the woods alone, and you ask me if I'd rather run into a bear or a woman asking this question who thinks like this, I'd rather give me 3 bears and fill my pockets full of honey. Speaking of people in wilderness scenarios who need problems because they don't have problems, that's just picking a fight. I watch this TV show alone. Every season, 10 people traipse out into the wilderness. It's been a lot of Canada lately. They're allowed to bring 10 items, and that's it. They're dropped off via boat on the shore of some unknown place. And whoever lasts the longest wins. No, they get to bring some stuff. They get to bring a saw. This is all changed over 1,000 seasons. This show is not art by any means. It is a huge endeavor on the part of editors and producers to take thousands of hours of footage and turn it into something watchable. The reason it's tough is because nothing happens. Days go by, and these people, nothing. They're just suffering and dying in the woods, and you can only show so much of that. Because like all things, this is deteriorated into the lowest form of itself. When it first began, Alone season 1, you should go watch it. People freaking out. There was a dude. This is the difference. I forget how long. I should look up how long the winter of season 1 lasted. But it might have been like 50 days. And everybody was gone before that. Now they're like out there for 100. So much so they got to cut them off. These people are so prepared. They're out there to live. Like, I'll just stay here forever if y'all don't cut me off. They're offering people $500,000 to suffer for almost half a year. And I mean suffer when you watch this show. The first season, people were getting chased off day 1. It's hilarious. I remember this one dude, he had just built, they barely built a shelter. They would like a couple of sticks and a lean-to, and this dude's shivering in the snowy rain. And then he hears something like a branch break. He goes, oh my God, a bear. Oh my God. And they got that. You're watching all this because they're filming it themselves. They got the little close-up GoPros. So you're seeing the snot blow out of his nose like he's on the Blair Witch Project. Oh my God. Oh my God. I heard something. And then he shoots his flare into the air and the boat comes and picks him up like 12 hours after he got dropped off. That's entertainment to me. That's what I want to go back to. I don't want to, this, what it is now is actual survival people. John spends 300 days a year living in his backyard. He has a house, but he doesn't use it. His wife thinks he's weird. Then they interview John. Yeah, man, I'm just trying, man, I'm just a good old fella, man. I like to make it work. I like bushcraft. I got my son. He's 12 years old. He's got autism cancer, and we gotta make some money so we can send him to autism cancer school. And I just, my heart bleeds every day. And then you got to watch this guy through the whole season. It's all sad stories now. Didn't used to be the sad stories. Everything's a crying, sad sack. I need this money to change my life. Just give him the money. Why don't you give him the money and we'll spend 10 episodes following autism cancer dude around, seeing how much better his life is. Because this is way better television than watching his dad suffer in the Saskatchewan cold. Yeah, man, and they put the stats up on the screen to clarify what you're watching. Man, I don't feel so good. I'm just, man, I got to stick it out from my boy. But he's shivering and there's snow falling in through the pine needle roof. And then they put on screen, John has lost 47 pounds since he entered the contest. You're like, why am I watching this dude suffer? Waking up in the middle of the night, shivering. They put it up on screen. It's negative 20 degrees outside. The mice have chewed through my sleeping bag, so I set up a Paiute deadfall, see if we can catch a couple of them. And in the morning, he wakes up, he's still shivering, he's emaciated, he's got 4 mice. I caught these mice, they're going to be delicious. And he's trying to skin them, and he's trying... John last ate 9 days ago when he found a handful of blueberries and some bear scat. You're just watching these people cook these little rats in their old dirty pot in some river water. Mouse soup. They put another stat up. Consuming raw rat or undercooked rat can cause wild bird AIDS, and he's just drinking the rat water. Ugh. I could make it on that show. I could make it like a week or two, but I'm not gonna eat the rat. The easy part is being alone. I could do that part with my eyes shut. Get that cameraman out of here. Why y'all bringing me new SD cards? I don't need new batteries. Let me be. I thought this show was called Alone. Not alone, except for when y'all show up with your producer bullshit. I miss the show, but it's a good reminder that nothing ever stays what it was. That show couldn't be what it was. It's impossible for that show to be what it was the first season. It's impossible for anything to continue to stay what it was. It's impossible for our relationships with anything to stay what they were. Life has changed. Everything changes. All of it changes. Our job is to learn, adapt, and be comfortable in whatever that new environment is. And all of that involves letting go of your expectations of what it should be. And the sooner we realize that, the better. All right, let's go. Let's call it. Let's get out of here. I think I've over-talked my welcome, if that's such a thing. Here's the contest. Here's what you can do. I want the special shared. That's all I'm after. I want people to see it. I want cool people to see it. I want your people to see it. But I also want other big people to see it. Because the best chance this has of reaching a bigger audience is to hit a pipeline that's got a bigger audience. For someone bigger to share it, maybe. So, what I want. The contest will hold. And I'll have cool prizes to give away. Parts of the set. Probably a customized Nerf gun. I got some autographed books. I'm going to hook a lot of people up. Share the special. Share it with everyone you know. But most importantly, share it with big people, celebrities, people you respect, artists you respect, musicians, writers, other comics. You pick it. The biggest shares, the person who gets the acknowledgement, oh, wow, I like that. Hey, someone else should see that. The person who gets a retweet or a share or a Facebook comment. It's all on the table. Whoever can get the coolest, biggest one. And I mean, there's Oprah and Obama on one side, and there's your next door neighbor on the other side. But I'll take your cousin, and I'll take Hugh Jackman. You go out. Ryan Reynolds would be a big win. There's a lot of folks you can reach out to. Give it your best, and we'll see what happens. You guys get a head start. Anything you do before I announce the contest, still fair game. You guys aren't relegated to having done this by a certain date, all by nature of having been here first. So thanks, as always, for watching, for listening, for digging the special, for following me, for coming to shows, for doing stuff. I promise to try to keep you entertained. All things me, including tour dates at sladeham.com. We've added lots for this summer. I'll see you soon.